Hello! Ngayon naman, pag-usapan natin ang population and sampling procedure. So in the previous lesson, pinag-usapan natin kung ano ba ang research design at kung ano-ano ang mga halimbawa ng qualitative and quantitative research. Natutunan nyo rin ano ba ang mga iba't ibang mga uri ng mga research methods that entails the identification of populations and sampling techniques. So sa lesson naman na to ay pag-aaralan naman natin ang population of the study at kung paano nga ba mag-determine ang sampling procedure. Ano ba yung salitang population? Pag sinabi natin population, it refers to the total number of people who serve as subjects or respondents of the study. Pag sinabi naman natin sampling procedure, these are the methods in identifying the part of the respondents of the study. Iyon ang kaparaanan kung paano tayo pipili ang ating magiging respondents. Ano naman ang statistics? Ang statistics, this is a branch of mathematics that deals with the analysis and interpretation of numerical data in terms of samples and population. What is population? A population, these are the person who have been invited to participate in a particular study and have taken part in the study. Now, before we proceed to the next topic, which is sampling procedure, just would like to clarify that the population and sample are different from each other. The population, these are the people or the respondents or the target person that could able to answer your research questions. But we do not get all the number of populations. We just get only the samples from the populations. Now, in choosing the samples, we will use the different sampling methods so that we can get a number of populations in systematic way. Now, what are the examples of sampling methods? Letter A, the random sampling. It is a technique that uses randomization to make sure that every element of the population gets an equal to be part of the selected sample. Random sampling. So random sampling, we have also the simple random sampling, wherein we can write all the names of the participants and then we put the name inside the box and we got the number like lotto, diba? We get the number, we get the paper, and then just draw all the paper that writes the name of the participants. And that's an example or random sampling, making sure that every element of the population gets an equal chance to be part of the selected sample. Another one is the stratified sampling. It is a technique that divides the elements of the population into small subgroup. The subgroup called strata. These are based on the similarity in such a way that the elements within the group are homogeneous and heterogeneous among other subgroups formed. So from a bigger group, there will be a subgroup, and those subgroups will get certain number of respondents so that there will be an equal chances to be part of the study in each subgroup. Okay, letter C. Convenience sampling, where the samples are selected based on its availability. Kung available lang yung ating mga respondents wherever your place is. At the same time, your samples are available. It means you're doing a convenience sampling. It depends upon on the topic where you can use this type of sampling. Another, purposive sampling. Purposive sampling, it is based on the intention or the purpose of the study. Quota sampling, this type of sampling depends on some preset standards and it selects a representative sample from the population. As part of the quota sampling, the respondents here has a target number of respondents. Once he gets, for example, his quota is 100 respondents. After the 100 respondents being interviewed or after the survey was answered, the researchers now will stop in getting the information. It's because he or she is using a quota sampling. We have also the referral or snowball sampling. It is used in situations where the population is completely unknown or rare. If we do not have the list of names of your respondents, we can use the referral snowball sampling. Okay, for our review, let us talk again what is research design. So when we say research design, it states that the whole approach that you decide or what will you do in the different components of the study is coherent, logical. Thereby, you can ensure that effectively address the research problem. Now, where's where you can find your research problem? Your research problem can be found in your statement of the problem. It constitutes the blueprint of the collection, measurement, and analysis of the data. Note that your research problem determines the type of design you should use. Once again, your research problem determines the type of design you should use. So, the number one thing that you have to remember is to understand what is your research problem. And then you have to think what are the type of research design is more suitable in your research problem. Okay, now let us proceed to the research design that most commonly used in qualitative research. Since we are using a quantitative research, we must have also the idea what are the research design in qualitative so that you will understand better which part of the research design you're going to use in your research problem. Number one, qualitative research of ethnography, narrative, phenomenological, case study. In qualitative research, it means there is a subjective approach and experiences, and they have to gain insights and explore the depth and richness and complexity inherent in the phenomenon. When you say phenomenon, it is a situation. Now, there are topics or there are research study that is suitable to use ethnography. There are some research study that's suitable is narrative. There are some research topic or research problem that can use phenomenological. And there are some cases or some situation in a particular research topic that the best research design is to use a case study. Now, let us have the definition of each research design in qualitative. Number one, ethnography. It means that yourself in a target participant environment. You have to immerse yourself. You have to be there in that particular place so that you have to understand their goals, a culture, the challenges, motivation, and the themes that emerge in that particular area. Next, narrative. The narratives weaves together in a sequence of events, usually from just one to two individuals, to form a cohesive story. So, for example, you have documentary. So you have to talk one person to narrate an example of situation or events. Phenomenological, it means the qualitative method when you want to describe an event, activity, or phenomenon. The case study, research design, it is a design when a way of explaining organization or event which involve a deep understanding through multiple types of data sources. Usually, case study, ginagawa to sa mga medical field o kaya naman sa mga law. Okay? Ethnography, usually yung mga reporters, yung mga gumagawa ng mga documentary, gumagawa ng mga books na true to life, gumagawa sila ng mga ethnography. No? Narrative naman, yung mga reporter na nag-interview sila ng mga tao. So for example, naghahanap sila ng mga survivors, okay, from World War, no? Pwede ba yung narrative? Yes. Okay. Kapag naman phenomenological naman, example, they want the researchers would like to understand better the person, kung kamusta sila, kamusta isang tao dun sa isang particular na kanilang pinagdadaanan. Okay? Now, let's move to the quantitative research. The quantitative research, okay, it uses empirical investigation. Dito naman, gumagamit ng computation and technique. Sa qualitative, ang ginagamit dito ay yung kanilang mga words, kanilang mga ginagamit na salita. And then, nagkakaroon ng team, nagkakaroon ng coding, at pagpili ng team. Pero dito sa quantitative, to interpret or to give meaning, kailangan magkaroon ng computational technique. Okay po?